Hi, I'm Jim,
And I'm Hisham, and this is,
the Quantumly Leaping podcast.
yeah, and today we were going to talk about the topics that Jim has worked on and he's passionate about, which is the personal development in the 21st century, and we're specifically during and post COVID-19. So, since this is your baby, uh, I'll let you have the opening.
Well, thank you. So today is going to be about personal development. So we're going to talk about a couple of things. We're going to talk about power of networking at events and building relationships, expanding your connections at networking and what to do after that, getting out of your skill bubble, and now it's important to rediscover your hidden skills. And then next one is taking the extra mile and creating confidence to doing what you never expected to do, and some cool stories about that.
Yeah, and I believe this is one of the things that the people were asking us about, also the audience, is to give some examples from our. I mean, we always give that, but
Yeah,
they wanted to know because recently we have that event that we talked about personal connections and all, and people are asking like, how can we do that specifically this time where we're in a lockdown? People are not communicating like they were before, and there's a lot of changes.
yeah,
So Jim is very passionate about this topic, and it was your suggestion, so that's why we decided to do that and talk from our very personal experience to show the people how they could achieve that. And with that, let's start with our first topic, which is the power of networking at events by building relationships and that lead to success. So, Jim, you're saying that, or you always say that to achieve this kind of thing, you always have to networking strategy, and I don't believe that everybody understands or knows how to do that. So, can you just go ahead and tell people about it?
yeah. Thank you, Sham. So I'll make this quick. So I started networking in 2008, and I wrote three articles, and one of them was about networking. The other one was about mentorship, and marketing. But what I found how quickly was that I created a networking strategy, and it was called the PAR strategy, PAR, and then I added F squared. And basically, if you really want to learn about the PAR strategy, I created a fantastic video on YouTube called Rethinking the Art of Networking. It was done about 4 years ago. It's fantastic. 20 minutes or so, and it's a fantastic interview. But in short, what is what I'm going to do? First of all, you have to have a presentation. So we present different ways. We present attending ourselves. We have attending. We have a business card, or we'll have a QR code, which again is Mrs. Sham. You gotta have an attitude. You have to have some excitement going to and because you want to meet people, you want to engage. R is about response. Is how do you deal with those questions? You're going to ask you questions. Are you going to feel comfortable answering them? Do you have an answer at the quick? So the PAR strategy was something you can do over and over again. And then when you got a handle of it, you can call it whatever you want. And what I found, this was super easy for anybody to do. I spoke on this topic all over, not just Toronto, in the United States. I mean, for thousands of people. And because people want simplicity, then there's follow up. Follow up and follow through is the right thing to do. And the part of why I'm so passionate about this, and I really appreciate Tasham allowing me to do this, because we've talked some powerful topics here, and we've been getting some fantastic feedback, by the way, from people. But I really wanted to do something that was a little different, little fun, because we're going to peel this onion today and talk a little bit how Hisham and I met, and which was a kind of an interesting evening, and go from there. So we're going to delve into that. So I'll throw it back to you, Hisham.
Yeah, and just right to your point, like about following up, and you're saying that the follow up could be through any mean, like LinkedIn messages or phone or anything like that. So LinkedIn has been rising a lot, in the past couple of years, and it's happening right now as well during the COVID-19. But I want also to emphasize that a lot of people underestimate the phone calls. I mean, like the thing about phone calls is that it might be an older technology, but people are still like to do the least of the human communication, which is the voice communication. Like we want to hear each other. We want to see how our reactions, even at least at voice. I mean, like we're doing this
Yeah.
podcast. People are most of the people are listening to us through voice, uh, and of course it's available for video, but a lot of our hits coming through voice, so they want to hear. We could do that in an article. We could write that down, but I believe that people want to hear. It's not just about the content itself, but it's about how we react, how we how these our voice tones change between something from another when we hear somebody on the phone or something. And I remember last year or a year and a half ago, I was in an event by a young entrepreneur who was actually, who owns, his name is Daryl Keyser, by the way, and he has done this marketing agency. He started it from scratch. He just lost his job once and found himself like nothing, and he started his own thing. And he has this very interesting book that I have and I read. It's called "Pick Up Your Freaking Phone: The New Rules for Entrepreneurs." And the interesting thing is about it is that he says that until now, at least in North America and Canada, like most businesses, most business communication or deals are still relying on phone. And if you didn't pick up your phone to talk to people, then you're losing a lot on business. I mean, like I know that you also have stories about that, right? I mean, like you've been doing a lot of phone calls during this COVID-19 since we cannot do it. So can you share a little bit about that?
Sure. I actually wrote an article called "Pick Up the Phone," and I'll give it to Hisham. We can put it at the end of this podcast. COVID for me was hard. Now I'll explain why. When this social distancing came up, that meant no events, no seeing anybody, no going everybody. So I had to go back to old school, which was using this phone. And let me tell you, um, many of the majority of the people I've called have called me back. Some have called me, delayed. But I am proud to say that yes, people are answering the phone. And something you talked about, remember that book you talked about? I got to read that one as well. But what I found in my career was any business that I did involved phoning people. And I wrote the book I wrote called "Get Connected in the 21st Century," predicated on two facts: online and offline, and how they intermix. Now we have gone, more online here the last 12 weeks, and the offline has been taken away from us in a sense. So the power of building a community via webinar. I hosted my first webinar on Wednesday for an organization that I've been with for about 10 years now. And it was a cool experience. I learned a lot and I'm going to get better. But the thing is that the part of community changed. And I probably called, I would say 50 to 60 people. And it has been great. And many people, I couldn't get off the phone. I spoke to my friend Rose an hour and 10 minutes on the phone because we have I call the calls State of the Union addresses. So if I haven't spoken to you in a couple of years, we have State of the Union, and people love that term. By the way, they're like, you should do like a whole thing on that. I'm like, okay, we'll leave that to the side. So, but to get back to Sham's point, is the phone is always a powerful tool, but now we have email marketing, we have messenger, we have people sending video messages, so the whole complexity has changed. But I still think this phone is still a viable thing to do. So thank you. Let me share, Hisham. Back to you.
Yeah, and last thing that the last point of this topic is you are ensuring the importance of having a business card or anything that represents your business, whether it's printed or
Yeah.
not. And
Yes.
we do have printed our business card, and we do a lot. But uh, as someone who is also environmental as I am, I do have my business card also and a digital copy. I mean, for our YouTube users, I'm going to show it to you. I think I don't know if they can see that, but here's
Yeah,
my
yeah, I see it.
this one, and there's this big huge QR.
That's
Everybody,
it.
when I
Yes,
show
that's
them
it.
that, yeah, when I show them that, it's like, what is this? And some of them get scared. And this
They
actually
do.
is this actually is
It's
a business
awesome.
is a V card. When you scan it, you will get all the information.
I
All
have been I
yeah,
have
and
been there. Ladies and gentlemen. People freak out. So here's my business card. Here's my business card. That's me right there. That's the front of the card. 21. That's me. And then this is the HQ Media card that Hisham created. And I like the back. I like the back. The back is award winning, right? But I can tell you the reason we want to do this is because everyone has different styles. So there's nothing wrong with Hisham's style, but I watch people's reaction, and it's more funnier to see them with Hisham than it is for me. They take it, they switch. Hisham, they jump, they're like wow, and the whole conversation just on the QR code. Never mind, like they were talking about something else, and the whole conversation starts. And sometimes Hisham and I are in a rush where we're doing something, we're in a rush. So sometimes it's pretty hilarious
yeah,
that happens.
and as I told you, as an environmental and someone who is in technology based, I know that sometimes you get this print. I have this card printed, but sometimes it's like I know that if I give them that, it's gonna go lost or somewhere else. But when you have it on your contacts in your phone immediately, that's this.
Yeah,
Like you have it in your contact. You have my job, everything. You have my contact, my email, my name. What do I do? Everything in your phone. So that's something that's what most people do with the printed cards. They just take that information and put them out in their phones nowadays, right?
yeah.
So with that being said, I wanted to jump on to the other topic, which is related to that, because you give your business cards because you go to networking and
Yes.
attending events, and most people live in their silos of businesses where they just go and attend events that are just related to their businesses, which is something that you and I don't do much. I mean, we go to events in our businesses, but we try to go out. Actually, the first time that we met was an event for film. It's for film fans. We go and watch films and we talk about the films before and after and all these things. And it's not these are events that's out of your professional scope, but falls into your personal interest. And because you don't know when you want to give a business opportunity or a chance. People do go here and there. I mean, people do have business, but they also have lives. And it's good to appreciate that and go to for them and to see them in their real lives. And I'll let you share the story of how we met at the film event, or the film fans event, let's say.
Yeah. So this is going to be a shout out to a friend of mine. His name is Sujit. He co-founded an organization called the Work Hard, Play Harder Toronto event 4 years ago in 2016. Well, Hisham came to an event where we watched Doctor Strange. And that night, there was also the U.S. elections happening that night. Uh, the good, the bad, and the ugly, I guess. Well, fast forward, we watched the movie, and then we went separate ways. So Hisham and I, we weren't going in the same direction in the subway. And see, my superpower, ladies and gentlemen, is not just giving out this card, is building relationships. So Hisham, we went from all the way from Yorkdale all the way downtown. And I quickly realized within, half an hour, oh my God, this guy's very successful academia, has a lot of interest. Him and I have a lot of interests. And I realized that this is a good person, to know and understand, and vice versa. And the thing is, you just don't know where you're going to meet people. And this has happened to me all the time. And it was, Hisham likes movies. He's found our group on Meetup, and he came. And I'm grateful that he came, because a lot of amazing things have happened in 4 years, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit. But at the end of the day, we both liked films, and we both were there. And then some interesting things happened shortly after that. So I'll throw it back to you, and I'll explain a little later what happened.
Yeah, I just want to tell people that it started with me joining this group and saying some nasty jokes about Ron Howard, you know, the director, because he screws up the with his films, he screws up the books that I like. And you know, it's the reason I'm saying that, it's like uh, when you go out, uh, I went out and I put all of this thing. You show your real person when you go to a business event. You might show your business personality, which could be like so different than your own personality, right? But when you go to people see you for who you really are, and that what creates that kind of chemistry, or might, oh, that guy might be interesting, you know, beyond being an IT techie, or like a network guru like you are, or a social media marketing or whatever. These kinds of things create, let me say, genuine interest in people, which could lead to business relationship. Because after that, we had we had started a business, the media business. We had some paying clients. We had also some. We have been into a lot of events that cost a lot of
Ooh,
money, and they called us. They invited us to come, and they told us,
yes.
"Would you like to cover that?" And most of those are, some of them are international events, like
Yes.
um, what's its name? The Collision Conference,
Colli-
who came to Toronto.
Collision.
This
Yes.
is an international event, and some of them like a national event. We also like to support national businesses and local businesses and Canadian businesses and all. And this is also something I believe that media business is really responsible for, because when you support local and international businesses, the ones that you care about, it's kind of a like very important role that you play for that matter. And we started that all because we just went to watch a movie. Uh, uh, yeah, in one event that's not related to our businesses or to our professionals or careers or jobs. And we have expanded on that, and I let you share some stories that we've had. You know, the funny stories we have in like the Futures conference or the Collision
So let me.
conference.
Okay, I'll do this in less than 5 minutes. So, you know, when you start a collaboration project with someone, you want to, you're excited about it. Well, the first client I bring Hisham was probably my worst client ever. Call him RS. Okay, and RS wanted to do this exercise video. It was a good concept. Well, he was the worst client, and I swear to God, I just met client Hisham just a couple of months. I swear to God, people, I thought Hisham was going to say, "Jim, you are fired." Like, see you later. Well, long story short, Hisham stuck with me. We delivered the content to the gentleman, and that was it. After that, we did some other events. We did an event called the Futurist event. We also did events on crypto. Now, the Futurist event was interesting because I felt that I was ready to become that reporter, because I've been speaking for a long time, and I've done my own. I have my own interview show on Blog Talk Radio called Success Stories. I've interviewed people on my YouTube video. But what I quickly realized is I had some learning to do. And one of the particular interviews we did was an event at the Sixth Summit we did in Toronto at the Marriott Hotel, where we interviewed a gentleman named Sean Young, SHAWN, Sean Young. He owned a company called Classcraft that went bonkers, that went worldwide. Well, this interview was a great interview, except one thing. My thumb hit the off button on the microphone. And the only reason the interview got saved was because the audio from the camera caught our interview. And Hisham used his magic editing skills, and he saved the video. It's one of our most funniest, interesting video. But we did this Futurist event last year, and we had it all set up. We had a video room, interview room to interview people. It was beautiful. Hisham had gone the day before. Well, the day of the event, we go down, and everything went haywire on us. You don't have access to the room, nothing. We're like, what? And we can't use the room. We're like, and then the lady came who was in charge, who let us use the room. So Hisham and I are like, okay, what are we gonna do? So we're quick on our feet. So this event was at the Rebel nightclub in downtown Toronto, and so we went outside, and there's a great area where we could see the CN Tower. So we plucked ourselves down on these seats, and there was another woman beside us shooting a documentary beside us. who came after us. So we shot 9 videos there, ladies and gentlemen. And I had my glasses on, and it was fantastic. And, we just launched the videos here a couple of weeks ago, and they're getting a lot of views. They're getting a lot of views in the lab. People are responding on LinkedIn. But what I want to say is that it was a process, and I'm really thankful for Hisham for his patience. But I also went out and I started practicing. I said, okay, tell me once, but don't tell me twice. And I'm glad to say, fast forward, we've done some spectacular interviews. I look like $1 million. Hisham, now doesn't have to worry about my thumb. We got some Bluetooth microphones now from Profusion there. I bought a 6 Sigma lens for my camera, which I'll talk about in a bit. But at the end of the day, I stepped out thinking I was good, but I knew I can get better, and I did. And it showed on the interviews we did. And this is where quickly that people were asking for us to come and come to the event. Even Hisham, where he was doing stuff with Mississauga Arts Council. I was doing stuff with the Miss Face of Humanity. I did stuff with. I did some student films. It exploded, right? Just this week, breaking news. Just this week, a friend of mine called me up, and I'm going to be working on a training series because I have some media equipment that he wants to rent for me. So next week we're doing that, and we're all gonna wear masks. We're gonna wear gloves. But then, ladies and gentlemen, how did that start? Because he watches me, he talks to me, he asks me questions. He asks, "You have a backdrop?" I do. Do you have some lighting? I do. And we're gonna make it happen. How does that happen? A, networking. B, relationships. C, is the amount of collaboration and understanding that. And I'll throw it back to you, Sham. So thanks for letting me share. So back to you.
Again, I would emphasize on personal relationships because when you talked about our first client, Mr. We call him RS and DP sometime, which is kind of nasty, but the thing is, if we got that client maybe over fever or over just something, and you want someone that I didn't know, and I just okay, I'm not gonna deal with that guy, but because we met in a different event. We knew each other in person, so that's was like, okay, so he tried, and I of course I would work with you again and again. It's because it was not just a a professional relationship. We understood each other on a personal because we saw each other in a non-professional network. We saw each other for who we are, and this is how I know, like, even if it might be a one bad client, but the intentions were good, and this is what I would say. Like, I don't like to separate the professional and personal relationship. I think they are so tied to each other, which also brings me to our next topic, which is getting out of your skill bubble and rediscover your hidden skills. Because when you get out also of your professional skill network or just the professional communication, you might rediscover yourself. You might find out that, oh my God, like, I didn't know that I can do that. And I know that you, Jim, have a personal thing, and we'll share all of that. But I'll let you start with this.
So two things. First is I got into photography in 2018. I bought a camera. I bought a Canon 1100D, and because carrying this phone around, you're not taking very seriously. Sorry, I bought a camera and used camera, and let me tell you, within 90 days, I was making money with it. 90 days. My friends, were you making money? I did a Black History Month event. I did a couple of movie shoots. I was making money. And I literally made back the money back. Now, why? Because I knew I could learn. I bugged Hisham. He gave me some tips. I went on a thing called the internet. I learned, and I started taking photos. And then Hisham invited me to one of the best events ever, Hisham, the historic photo walk on Meetup. And I was hooked. We did like a couple of events where here they invite you over. We do the St. Patrick's Day parade. Well, the last 10 weeks of COVID, let me tell you, I've had epic photo walks. I just went one today. I'm going to post some pictures on Facebook today. Epic photo walk. So you take your camera and you go for a walk. I'm telling you. And the next thing is I attended some events on machine learning. And there's a book today that I came across by happenstance called The Weapons of Math Destruction. Now, why this book is interesting is Hisham was reading this book. and I refused to read it. I thought, what a ridiculous title. So then I gave in. About a month later, I went to the library and I borrowed it, and I've been talking about this book ever since. If you listen to some previous podcasts, I always talk about this. It's called The Weapons of Mass Destruction by Cathy O'Neil. O''Neil. First name Cathy, Cathy. It is an amazing book. Powerful stories in this. I'm going to write a whole book on this book, for heaven's sakes. But again, the reason I want to share this is that we went to PodCamp here in Toronto. I've been going since 2011. Hisham spoke twice. This year, I didn't get selected. Okay, Hisham got selected. I didn't get selected. The day of the event, the Saturday, I spoke not once, but twice. On guess what, people? Podcasting A to Z from zero to hero. Twice. I recorded. I have it on my computer. I'm releasing him. I'm going to edit it a little bit. But again, how does this happen? Because you step out. Hisham gave me this YouTube video a few months ago called The Imposter. What's it called? The Imposter Theory?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's a TEDx talk. It is fabulous. And I'm like, exactly. So the premise is you have to step out a little bit, go the extra mile. And I've learned a lot about machine learning and AI. Am I an expert at it? No, but I can speak about it more. I can speak about it. Holding the book, Mathematics. I went to an event with a gentleman who came from Carnegie Mellon University, Zach Lipton. It's just, the video's on YouTube. I sat in the front row, made 6 pages of notes. I couldn't escape because I sat in the front row. I keep telling Hisham, bad space to put me in the front row because I can't escape. So, but I'm glad I did. I went to another event that Hisham spoke at the Michter Institute in a snowstorm, in February.
Snowmageddon.
I live about 20 minutes away from it. I couldn't find this place. I know every space in Toronto. Hisham goes, Jim, just find this. I went to Spining. I sat in the back row, and a gentleman spoke in front of Hisham who was amazing. Hisham spoke. I took about 25 pictures of Hisham in action, so I ended up giving it to Hisham. But here's the thing. You have to step out. Fast forward. I stepped on, did this podcast. No idea how we're going to do it. We did it. I did a webinar. I did it. I'm reading books on photography. I'm reading books on all sorts of matters now. So my challenge to people watching this and listening to this, COVID-19 is the best time to take up something. Guitar, learn a new habit, because it's a serious situation, no doubt. Okay, this is a serious situation. We have to stay and isolate, and they're opening up the city here in Toronto. But this is where you can step up and go the extra mile. I'll throw it back to you, Hisham.
Yeah. So first of all, it's called the imposter syndrome. Just so you know, there's a lot of there are a lot of talks about it on TEDx talks and on all of these things, and it just shows you. Yeah, it just shows you how you started to as an imposter. Sometimes it's unintentional. You just talk about something and it's an opinion, and people think that you are an expert on that, which gives you the doorway or the motivation to become that, one that people think who you are. And another personal story for me is like I wasn't in AI before. I was something called BI, which is business intelligence, and then which it's very near, but AI is way bigger, But it's like most of the people who came into AI came from BI, and I tell people sometimes jokingly that I faked my way into AI, but it was like people were asking, do you do AI? And I say like, yes, because I've heard about it, we know it, and I've done a lot of BI, and people thought that I'm doing AI because I was doing this. So are you doing AI? I said like, yeah, I think I am, because I was talking about it, and then that motivated me to actually become into that field. It is. I know that some people say don't pretend that you're not, but sometimes you discover that you can do that. It's not about you pretending and lying onto people. That's a very bad thing. But sometimes you rediscover yourself when you're talking about something, and you realize, you know what, I can do that. I have to work hard a little bit. I have to gain a lot of knowledge. I have to get myself into, and I've got myself, not just AI, I've got myself into a lot of projects on things that I work on for the first time. And I tell people, I know that because I know the base technology for it. And so why not? Like you're getting into it, right?
Can I share one quick story, Hisham?
Yeah.
So
sure.
I'm a big sports fan. So this year I started a little special project. I follow the Raptors and the Leafs, but what I did is I tracked their records, win, losses, and ties for the Leafs, and wins and losses for the Raptors. Just want to do it, just to see. So I did. So March hit, and obviously because of COVID-19, the sports ended. What am I going to do? So I said, well, let's do something. So I was talking to Sham. I don't know how it came about. And he says, oh, I was having some problems with Excel and with the graphs. And then I heard about modeling, computer modeling, statistical modeling. So Hisham directed me in a direction, a couple of software. So I completed a model of what would the Leafs and the Raptors statistical future be to make the playoffs. And you think it's something small. Well, what happened? COVID hit. What is COVID based on, ladies and gentlemen? On statistical modeling, on infections, people infected. The same premise that I was doing just by accident this year. So my antennas were like, whoo, because this doesn't matter. Statistical modeling doesn't matter if you're figuring out a statistical score. So it's the same thing. Now I'm talking about modeling. Now, am I expert at modeling? No. But am I learning a lot? Have I applied it? Yes. So it's not like you're talking something you don't have the right to talk about. You're talking about something that you're passionate, you're researching about. I spoke on mentorship, ladies and gentlemen. Why? Because I was being mentored by great people. I did seminars. I'll speak slowly here. Seminars on how to attract a mentor. People like, you got paid $150 an hour to talk about mentorship? Yeah, the city of Toronto was paying me in 2008 $150 an hour, and I'm speaking all across on Toronto. People are like, really? Yes. Now, that I end up writing an ebook after that. But you know what I'm saying? So I think the opportunity that I've realized through Isham and others that I've spoken with is that now, am I going to pop up and say I can speak on modeling? Yes, I can. Why? Because I have a statistical case study that I'm going to publish, that I have published on my blog, that I'm going to plot, and I'm probably going to do a talk about it. Because it's important to understand that what Hisham was talking about, you have to pivot. So one of the big words I'm using now is called pivot, P-I-V-O-T, pivot. And why I want to leave people with this at the end of this show, and I felt it was worthwhile to do this for a second, is it's not saying going to go from complete this to complete right. What you're doing is you're adding a skill set. So I was taking pictures with my phone, but now I do camera work. Now I do the thing. So I just edited a video. Hisham gave me a little editorial crash course. I just launched a video that a friend of mine did a week ago, and I just launched it on YouTube, and everybody loved it. We're getting some good feedback on it. So now I'm an editor. Now, is that something I want to do full time? No, editing is patient work. But the moral of this is that you can leverage these skills to do stuff and get paid for it, ladies and gentlemen. The job I'm doing next week, I'm getting paid to do that, and he says he's going to pay me, like, and whatever he does. But the thing is, you have to pivot. So we started this podcast, ladies and gentlemen, 11 weeks ago, and people are calling me, texting me, messaging me, saying I'm compelled to call you about your podcast. We even got 3 unofficial students who are working on their premise on their podcast. So it's powerful. I really appreciate doing this. I prepared this whole event, this whole podcast today. It was a special week for me because I have a lot of things going on. But I really appreciate Hisham sharing a little bit of what he did, because personal development is powerful. And I urge people to do this. Now, moving forward, please improve yourself. Go to the library. You can borrow stuff from the library. YouTube videos. There's lots. And you can find me and Hisham on LinkedIn and ask us. So throw it back to you, Hisham.
Yeah, and this will lead us to our last topic about taking the extra mile and go out of your comfort zone. Because I see, we're saying this for people, and we say that from but I know that it's not easy, because most people are, I have this job, I know this kind of connections, I know my people, I know what I'm working on, I know what I'm working for. So that's their comfort zone, and they're comfortable being where they are. But you know, with the changes that is happening, which is the theme of our podcast, which is the quantumly leaping, that we're going into a lot of changes. uh, a lot of people are finding themselves sometimes that, oh, I'm really old fashioned, I don't know enough people in, because you don't, it's not enough now that you learn what you need for work. Everything is expanding, the information is like blasting out. I mean, like it's what I think they're calling it the uh, information bombs or something like that. It's crazy. The information and knowledge is doubling every year, or something like that. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
It's called
It is.
it's called Moore's law. Technology things every 6 months.
Yeah, and it was many years. A couple of decades ago, it took many years for it to double down, to double up. But now it's a matter of a year or a few months, and it's
Yeah.
too much. But which makes people, what I want to say is, like, it makes people a little bit out of their comfort zone. I need to learn this. I need to learn. I don't know what to do. I don't. And to be honest, we talked about that in one of our episodes. Is that corporations are not giving a lot of training, enough training for people, and they're not giving them even the lead to what they do. So here's what it is. Take the extra mile. Go out, find out, because if if your workplace doesn't give you that chance, find it yourself. Apply it to yourself. And you mentioned PodCamp, which we went. You were going there for a long time, I know, but you pushed me to go like 3 years ago, and I've been there uh, every year. We've learned a lot from that as well, right?
Yeah.
It's actually what's led to this podcast is what we've learned from PodCamp, from the people who were there. You yourself went to a lot of AI and machine learning events, because we were going to a lot of technical events. You were asking people some questions, and it was like you're asking them something that you might not know enough about. So it pushed you personally to go to a technical event and meetups, to learn. I mean, like, you wanted to know what are you talking about to those people, right?
Yeah, I mean, I went to one event. We went to an event at the Mars Discovery one, and there was three talks going on, and I was there just taking pictures. They had pizza and food, which was great, but it was way over my head. I'm telling you, that was one. But I walked out, and we're talking to a mutual friend of yours there, and I was like, well, yeah, I felt a little weird, but I kind of understood what they were talking about. But they were talking English, but a different type of English, maybe, technical English. But I was willing to to put myself out. I mean, I understand everything they meant. No, but I do some email marketing, so I understand social campaigns and all that. But it doesn't mean that I'm gonna do it. But it made me understand that, and it's a very smart group of people. So I like being around smart people. And I got some. I ended up following some of the people and all that. So I can't wait till we get back to kind of this area of going back out to some meetups event, maybe later in the year. A lot of them are online, and Sham has invited me to a couple of AI and machine learning events that he's actually going to speak at one here in a few weeks, apparently, or next month. But I'm speaking now on on um, on webinars. Um, uh, so it's that. So I'll leave it at that because our time's almost over here. I'll throw it back to Hisham.
Yeah, and again, I think what we're trying to tell people here is that, because we, we both have taken extra miles, not the mile, to improve ourselves and to get to know beyond our profession, beyond our career path, beyond our knowledge bubbles or silos
Yeah,
that we were used to
yeah,
live in. And I would tell people it's not easy. I mean, like, a lot of people are watching this podcast right now, and they're enjoying it, and they're giving us, oh yeah, thumbs up. You guys are guys, and how it took us 1.5 year to reach here, to reach to this point. Like, we were talking about it, and we knew that we wanted to start something, and and I would say again, when we went to PodCamp Toronto and we presented that, like for 3 years for me, and maybe it's more than 10 years for you.
Yeah, 10 years.
I've learned a lot from the people who were there as well. I mean, I never thought that I'm gonna have a podcast. I thought that it's a nice thing, but maybe it's not my thing. But then when I went there for I was presenting there for 3 years, and I never had a podcast. I was telling the podcaster on tools that they can use and all of that thing, which is very valid. They loved it, but then it made me think, like, I mean, like, why shouldn't I start a podcast? It sounds an interesting thing, and when I see all those podcasters come in and sharing ideas and all of that thing, and there is a lot of them, by the way. There are people who are talking in politics. There are people talking about fashion, even sexual education, which is a very important thing. Like this year, you met this lady who was talking about sexual education and all. It's like, oh my God, this is a full world that it worth getting into. And for someone like me who had a lot, I think, from a personal experience to share, yeah, why not? And we've got into it. And thanks to COVID-19, who pushed us earlier than we should, and maybe who pushed us harder than we even imagined, to start this podcast and start sharing. And, we took the extra mile, right?
Yeah.
And here we
Yeah,
are.
and what? Yeah.
Yeah.
So one little thing here. So breaking news. I want to mention this. There's a gentleman named Joe Rogan. He has a podcast now for about 6 years. It's called the Joe Rogan Experience. And the reason I'm mentioning his name is that we're not competing against Joe Rogan. We wish we could, but we can't. But here's the thing: Joe Rogan this week was given $100 million from Spotify. Okay, I almost fell on the floor. And just today, guess who started a podcast? I just told Hisham. Larry King. The famous Larry King is starting a podcast called The Millionth Question. So, ladies and gentlemen, if Larry King, who's an icon in himself, can start a podcast, and Joe Rogan started a podcast 6 years ago, and just got $100 million, let me tell you, learn tomorrow, start next week, and listen. We did it. It doesn't matter how long it took us. Yes, it took us a year and a half, but we're like almost 10 episodes in, and we're getting rave reviews, just great. And we're looking forward to this season, and we got a bunch of more topics we're talking about. But I can tell you one thing, and on a personal note, everyone that I've told about you start a podcast has said to me, "Good on you. I'll listen to it. Fantastic idea." Because it's the 21st century. So I'll leave you with this. It's the 21st century. My book was called, Get Connected in the 21st Century, Online Offline Strategies That Work. So I talk about three things: learning, speaking, socializing leads to monetize. And let me tell you, the monetize may not seem as far as you think it is, but if you believe in your expertise, and I do, and I believe anyone listening to this show or watching this show wants to reach out to us, you can find us LinkedIn, Twitter, hqmedia.ca. You can find us and you can ask us questions. We're available. So we want to be a resource. We're inspiring others to start podcasts. And we're going to have a training program here coming out in very due time about how we do what we do. And let me tell you, I have a lot of cool things to share. So I'm done on this side. I'll throw it back to you, Sham.
Yeah, and so two things. First of all, Joe Rogan got $100 million. I think we're next. I have a very yeah, positive feeling about it. But yeah, the other thing is, uh, w- starting a podcast was our experience. I know that not everybody can do that, but start what you think you don't you cannot do. Just go
Yeah.
into it, and it doesn't matter if you tried and failed. Okay, just put that behind you and start another thing. Uh, this is us. This is humans. This is how we were dealing with things, with our personal experience for the past, I don't know, 250,000 years since our species started on the planet. this is us, and we would not be here. I mean, like, look at our ancestors who lived like for 2 million years, and they, like the Homo erectus, they lived for 2 million years, but they only invented the hammer, or for that matter, we are here for like 250,000 years only, which is nothing for the edge of this planet, and we are already unlocking the secrets of the universe. And that wouldn't happen if we didn't get out of the bubble, out of the bubble of just the hammer that our ancestors lived in for 2 freaking million years. We got out of that, and we went, and if you also read the book of Yuval, or the books of Yuval Noah Harari, is that he says
Yeah.
he said that one of the
Smart guy. Smart guy.
very smart guy, I love him,
Very smart guy.
and the thing is, he talked about that maybe the most important thing that we've invented is like language and communication. I don't remember how he put that. I've read a lot of his books, and he says, but he says that because of language, our need to communicate is why we created this language, and then we traveled, and when we communicated for in nations through different languages, and that's us. That we are bubble breakers. We are the bubble breaker, or the bubble breaking species. So don't stop that right now.
I
Let's go
love it.
back. Let's be let's be the species that we were always meant to be. That we break through this glass ceiling, and went through it, and yeah, get that, and use this downtime. Let's I will call it a downtime, relatively, but make it an uptime in something else. Downtime for you getting out of the house, out of your house, but it's an uptime for you to get out of yourself and find a new you. Find something new for you. Improve your skills. And with that, I'll leave the last word for you, Jim. After all, this was your idea and your baby. What do you think about today's episode?
It was great. I'm really excited to share it, and thank you, Isham, for doing this. The reason I wanted to do it is that there's a lot of work goes on behind the scenes here. We research a lot, and I want to do this because I wanted to share a little bit about how Isham and I collaborated, and how we connected. Many other resources, many other people behind the scenes that too many to thank, but they know who they are. And many of the people. I want to share something really authentic with everybody here before we log off. Many of the remarks that we're getting from people is this, especially for me, and towards Hisham, and he's not offended either. Is you guys are so serious. That's some of the response we're getting, and I'm like, okay, is that bad? That bad? So we want to have a little fun today, and that this one's for the people who've been saying that we're too serious. And we are, because we have serious topics that we share about. But I'm really happy to do this. Share a bit of the ups and downs, and we'll definitely do a post-COVID, later in the season on things that have happened since this episode. But personal development is all about creating a new you. So all I want to leave you with is this: creating a new you is the most important thing. We've given you some resources, some inspiration. You can reach us, Twitter, LinkedIn, off the website, hashtag. You can reach us out. We're here to help you out. So with that, I'm Jim.
Yeah, and I'm Hisham, and I'm final thing just want to say, because you were talking about the funny thing, maybe that would push us to create a comedy show, rediscover ourselves in comedy, right? I mean, why not? Here's it out for you people. We're gonna try a comedy show. We're gonna break our serious our alleged serious bubble, and show you that we can be funny, right?
Okay, I'll take you on that challenge, Sam. I'll take you up on that challenge.
Yeah, let's do that post COVID-19. Maybe we'll find a spot where we can actually make
Well,
people laugh, and we can see their reactions.
we'll be in a studio by then. We're going to be in a studio. Our studio's opening up actually in 2 weeks. Our studio's opening up, so we may be in the studio maybe the next 6 weeks or so.
I
We'll be
was
in the
talking
studio.
about the comedy show. I don't want to be in studio. I want to be in public, and I want to see people laughing, because this is a proof for
we
everybody.
we have We have friends. We have friends in high places, Isham. So we'll figure something out. So this is
So,
Jim. Take care,
and
everybody.
this is Hisham, and it was a great again to see you. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.